So I think so the future of analytics in BI is actually there's a huge potential and for the marketing and the strategy services. So if you look at the way this field is evolving, so what we are seeing is that there's a huge data that's being generated. Every day there are a lot of things like for example, people are going on Facebook, they're posting Instagrams. So the amount of data that's being generated is huge. And what has happened over the years is that the cost of computing has come down. Now, both these two things is very good in the sense that the data is actually the generation for the analytics. And the compute power that is becoming cheaper and cheaper, that means we can get to more complex algorithms which can help us predict what exactly the customer intent, what exactly is that particular person looking at, what are the things that he wants to buy at. So a lot of, the entire browsing patterns of a particular person actually tells you his intent, which might not come out directly. So a lot of these things, which are in the historically, you would have seen a market research things and where they used to actually tap into a sample of customer. Now, if you look at it in this particular world, what is going to happen is that you will actually reach out to the customers directly. You can understand what is his unsaid needs, the intent, and accordingly you can cater to him given the services. Now, when I look at BI, it has moved up from Excel reporting and MIS to actually to the world of self-service, wherein we are seeing that the power is being given to the end marketing managers rather than actually giving an Excel which will have host of numbers. Now, what is being done is that with the given that in new age tools like Tableau, ClickSense, so the entire data and the kind of the drill downs is being given to a marketing manager. So if in case one particular guy wants to know which area he's having an important, which product of his is actually selling in which of the areas, why exactly it's being successful, he himself can actually do it then and there. So if the speed of information and availability on his fingertips is actually going to help him serve his customers in much more better and take more proactive actions as compared to reactive. So definitely the future is good, and I think so what the students have to do is actually hop on to this particular bandwagon and understand what are the important things that they need to learn, because this is a very important and critical aspect that's there. Okay, so AI. If we have to talk about AI, there are three use cases that we look at. One is definitely the process automation, wherein you will have all these RPAs, robotics, and you're picking up a particular process and actually automating it end to end. Now that is where the lot of companies have started working on, because that's like a low hanging fruit, and that actually gives you a very positive benefit statement. The other two areas, which is the cognitive insights as well as the cognitive engagement. Now, cognitive engagement is something like a chatbot, wherein you are using a bot or a machine to actually engage with your customers, internal employees, and so forth. That relies on a lot of NLPs and ability to understand. So even that is one area that has come up, and a lot of, again, organizations are coming up with chatbots. But the entire problem in that particular thing, like if I look at a country like India, where every region has a different language, and there are so many languages, and the people, we don't have a standardization in that particular sense. So then creating of these things will become actually much more like a frustrating for the customer to engage with these things. Because let's say I go back to Maharashtra, and his way of asking a particular question will be very difficult. So to engage in that particular thing, that's why we are seeing a lot of these chatbots have a pre-built kind of a thing. Do you want to talk about the bill? That's it. But if you really would want to make an impact, then it has to go to the full level, something like a Siri or a Google or Alexa. So that is where a lot of things are happening in, but it's very early stage at this point of time. Even like if you have to talk about Siri, it has taken years of innovation to come to a particular level. And right now also it caters to the Western world perfectly fine. But in India, because of the accent, the way the people are talking, so it doesn't not necessarily picks up on that particular thing. So that's where the last one is the cognitive insight part, where we see a lot of something like a deep learning model for the AlphaGos, which is coming on. So that is a very specialized area, and it requires a lot of investments. Now, when you look from an organization point of view, any investment that is there that they're going to make requires a benefit statement. And that is why you will see that in terms of a RPA or automation or chatbots, the investments have a positive benefit statement. The cognitive insight will require some amount of time, at least for smaller organizations or large things to pick up. Now, second angle is from a privacy aspect as well, because you cannot take a deep learning model to actually reject a particular person's credit, credit history, credit if you have to give him a, because a lot of Western countries require a particular, if you're rejecting someone's applicant, will require what are the reasons and so forth. So now all these cognitive insight like deep learning and everything are very black box in nature. So that's where the thing is. But given that, again, as I said, the amount of data that we are being generating, the amount of compute power that is being made available to people, this area will typically latch on to. And second thing, it's a new technology. The entire AI space is new. So everyone is trying, they don't want to invest too big and come out that they have made a huge investment and it's going for a loss. So they're testing the waters. They will start with something which is low angle, then they move up. But there are a lot of companies which are actually using AI in that particular sense to provide better services. Like there's a company called Lemonade in US, which is into the insurance space, which have like probably 35 employees only. Everything is app based, right from issuance to the processing. Everything happens through an app. They have used a lot of AI in terms of predicting what exactly is it a fraud claim or not. So there are companies which are coming in, but again, it will take some amount of time to, that's the. See, frankly, it depends upon the context in which you're doing it. So if it's a aid in the sense that, let's say I'm like in healthcare, now there's a lot of work that's happening in terms of the oncology space, the cancer detection, early detection. So obviously, if it's coming as an aid, it's good, but there has to be a human angle to it. But let's say there are certain things which is not from a context of a risk is less, then obviously you can rely on AI directly. But again, I'm saying it's a very much of a, the things are, the way it's being is that you will actually look at it as an aid to a human. So it will probably do 80, 90% of the stuff. And then a particular human is going to actually look at the insights that are being coming from an AI machine, and then he will take an action. But I still feel that the action has to be taken up by a human for this time being, till we come to a level wherein we can actually completely rely on this thing.